Hi everyone, this is Shan. In today's video, we are going to be creating a word cloud using recent tweets for a hashtag. So we would be taking a hashtag and getting the 100 recent tweets for that hashtag and then create a word cloud similar to what you see on the screen right now. What you need for this is a Twitter developer account and a Twitter account. Second thing would be a Python basic setup on your machine and a Visual Studio Code or any other IDE of your choice through which you can write the Python program. So the steps we are going to be doing today are three very basic and easy steps. The first one is to fetch recent tweets for a hashtag. So we would be using a hashtag FPL community as an example. Second thing we would do then is clean up the data because the hashtags would then have a lot of chunk characters and strings which we don't want in the final word cloud. So we are going to be cleaning up the data and organizing the data using pandas. The third step would then be to finally create a word cloud using the data. For this we'll be using various libraries, Python libraries. So let's hop onto Visual Studio Code and show you how you can do that. So let's begin with designing the solution. For that, we would create a folder on your machine and name it as WC Tweet. Now within this folder, we would want to create a file called pip file, which would hold all our dependencies. So within the pip file, we define our packages which we require for the Python program. Now in this we have Twippy to be used to connect to Twitter. Then we've got pandas for cleaning up and setting up our data. The third thing would be WordCloud library to create the actual word cloud. And then we've got matplotlib library. This library is used for visualization in Python. So this would be used to map the word cloud blob into the proper plot figure and show it. So we start with that, and then we save this file inside that folder. The next file will be the Python code file which we would be creating. So we would name it as WordCloud tweet.py, for example. Now in this we would start writing our Python program and import all these libraries which we wrote there. So first thing is importing Twippy, then we import pandas as PD. The third thing would be the word cloud, and then we've got matplotlib. So we use inside matplotlib we use pyplot to plot our word cloud. So we would just be importing that library as plt. Now once we've got these setup done, we then start writing our Python function. So I'll create a word cloud bot function and then start writing my Python code. Inside this, the first thing we need is to fetch the tweets. In order to fetch the tweets, we need to connect the Python program to Twitter API via Twippy. Now in my previous video I showed you how you can use your Twitter developer account to fetch the keys and connect Twippy to the Twitter API. Now for that I'll just show you what we need to do is we need to go to developer.twitter.com and create and connect your Twitter account in this, and then once you've done that you can click here to get the keys and tokens. So you can see that there are three different keys and tokens which are generated. The first is the API key and secret, the bearer token, and the access token and secret. For Twippy, we will be using only API key and secret and access token and secret. So there are four keys which needs to be generated. One is the key and secret, the other one is the token and secret. So we go back to our program and then we define the whole Twitter function using these set of codes, which I'll be writing here to connect Twitter to my API. So let me go through these ones with you. The first thing we need is a consumer keys and access tokens, the one which we saw on the Twitter developer portal. Here we define the consumer key, consumer secret, access key, and access secret. Please bear in mind that these are meant to be confidential because it will define access to your account. So don't make it public, and I would also be regenerating my keys and tokens after this video so that be safe with that. So the next thing is we don't need the bearer token for our auth TWIP here, so we would be removing that. We would then write these lines of code to actually connect TWIP to the Twitter API, and then once you've done that, we have a defined Twitter connection for the Python function to work. The next thing we would then do is fetch the tweets. So we are then going to define a variable, and we say API.search tweets, and then define the keyword we would want to search on. So we say FPL community, and we say count equal to 100, and result type is equal to recent. Now what this would do is it will get all the tweets for FPL community, all the recent 100 tweets for FPL community, and put them in this variable called tweets. The next thing we want is to get the text of the tweets and put them in a list. So what I'm doing here is I would want to fetch all the text of the tweets and put them and append them into a list. So for that, I will loop through the tweets, and then inside my list I'll go and append each of these texts. So this would line up all the tweet text into the list. And the next thing is to create a data frame which then contains all the text. Now once you have done this, our column in the data frame contains all the tweet text, and the next step after fetching the tweets is to clean up the tweet. So we would want to clean up the tweet text, right? So for this there's an inbuilt WordCloud function called stopwords. So you can say stopwords equal to set stopwords. The stopwords contains all the words which needs to be excluded from the WordCloud. So there is a set of words which WordCloud has already done for you, and these are very generic words which does not make any sense in a sentence, which are part of this stopwords. So we would use them in order to clean up the data. So we can import it like this. We say WordCloud, and then we can say stopwords. So this would then have all the stopwords which we need, and this variable is going to be using that. Now I have realized with retweets and with links, there are certain tweets which contain HTTPS and RT in their folder. So what we would do is we would do stopwords.update and then add those strings which we want to exclude from our WordCloud. So I would say RT and HTTPS, for example, and you can expand this list to exclude some of the words which you don't want in the WordCloud. Now once you've done that, the next step is to actually create a big string of this list. So the list contains all the text in each array position, and then what we need to do is we need to contain and create a big string which would then append all the text with spaces. So for that we would create a variable called big string and apply function of x and join them this piece of code would join all the strings and separate them with a space. Now once we have it, this contains, and this creates a big string which we need to use in our final word cloud, right? Now another thing which I want to do is, out of that big string I want to remove certain characters, or certain characters which do not make any sense. So there'll be emojis and all the other characters which we don't want in the big string. So for that we would use regex function to remove them. So we can say sub of A to Z 0 to 9 plus anything beyond this would then get out of the big string and just replace it with a space. So we would also need import array, which is a regex function, and we can define it here like that. Alright, so once we have our big string ready, the next step is to actually create the word cloud function and the plot figure, where we need to map the word cloud. So I'll start creating the plot figure first, which will be using plt figure. I say fixed size and define it as 1010 figure. Now next, after that, we create our word cloud function using and passing all the parameters which we defined earlier. So you say stop words equal to stop words, and then we've got a background color, which I would say white here. We can define the height and width. If you can see here, all these parameters, these are default figures. We will increase the size a little bit for our viewing purposes, and then to that we can define the minimum word length. So I'll say 4, so that we don't get anything less than 4. It doesn't make sense, words. Then we've got something called a co-location. Co-location equal to true usually takes combination of two words and then shows and then maps it according to the frequency it appears in different places. So this using this actually makes the words some sense out of your word cloud. So that is why we define this co-location. I've tried, you can try different parameters to see what makes sense for your word cloud. I usually use co-location is true and co-location threshold as 10, so that I can see combination of words appearing in different places and then making some sense out of that. Once you've done that, we say generate and then pass the big string on in the function. So we do that, and that's creating our word cloud. So word cloud object here has everything we need, and then next thing is just to show it on the plot. So we say word cloud off and plt IamShow. Use plt IamShow to actually pass the word cloud there. Now our function is ready now to run, so we can try running it now. So we say our main here, and call word cloud bot. Now before you run it, you need to create a virtual environment within your folder. So since the first file which we created, the pip file, it has all the packages. Now we need to use these packages and put a virtual environment which has these dependencies installed. So for that, what we do is we say pipenv install, which would then go to the pip file and install all the dependencies inside the pip file into your virtual environment for the project. So if you see here, what it's doing is it's locking the packages dependencies and then building the dependencies, and you see a pip file.lock got created, which now has all the versions and the dependencies which is required in this project. So once that is done, you need to go inside the virtual environment using pipenv shell and then run your program. So what I'll do is I'll just put a breakpoint in one of the places here like this, and then run and debug. So you see here all my variables are showing up on the left side. This I really like using the run and debug, which shows you how in real time what's happening in your program as well. So you see all these variables got created, a big string got created, for example. Now you see that big string there is having all the characters apart from the letters. So we might have missed something there, and then if you look at this, we needed to add another symbol which excludes them. We missed that, so we say that and then we rerun it again. So you saw how it's a good way to actually debug and see how your program is actually coming out. Since we are doing it live, of course there could be errors which we need to improve and show on the fly as well. So now if you look at big string, you see that it has characters. It doesn't have characters but actual words. So that plot got created here, and now if you just hop on step over more, you would see the word cloud come up. So that's the word cloud. Now it uses all the tweets and strings, and something interesting here is the HTTPS is still showing up. So we might have done something which we need to change and include them. So we go back to our code here, close this, go back to the code and see stopwords dot update. So this did not work, and the reason is we missed a bracket inside for it to read through. So if I run it again now and use the check my word cloud, there's plot. Now I go over, and there you go. So you don't see HTTPS anymore, and no RT as well. So you saw how easy it was to actually just fetch the tweets and get this word cloud up and running, and then you can always play up with the parameters in the function and see how that works for you. But if you see here, there are a lot of words didn't take away, and to make sense and what people are talking about using that hashtag. I hope this video helped you. That's all from me at this point. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Cheers.